I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism.
The wrestling life.
Hey everybody, it's the Wrestling Life. It's episode 404. First week of April 2025. I'm Ethan.
And I'm Liam.
Liam, we have so much to talk about this week.
And as always, so many things we cannot talk about on the first and only wrestling podcast.
WrestleMania 41 build continues. A lot of three ways on this show, a lot of multiple person matches. NXT Stand to Deliver. First match announced, a triple threat match.
It's like an after party at a Nigel McGuinness magic show. A lot of three ways going on.
Whoa. Hey now. He is all about the polyamorous lifestyle. Or he was at one point in his life. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he still is. AEW Dynasty is coming up this weekend. Another AEW pay-per-view. And what else we got? We have New Japan. Yeah, it's this weekend. So, start with the build of WrestleMania. John Cena and Cody Rhodes were under one roof. Again, this week on Monday Night Raw. And they were shooting on each other in a promo. And John Cena says he doesn't bury talent, he buries mediocrity. And Cody saying, did the fans pick you, or did one guy in an office who's not here anymore pick you? Did this week's promo do anything for you as opposed to the previous weeks of John Cena heel promos?
I thought it was a little better. Maybe just because if you take out the shoot lines, which unfortunately are the only things that people talked about coming out of it, the bit about oh, Cody used to drive John Cena from town to town, and you know, he was John's young boy, and John doesn't respect him and all that. Like, okay, that's something interesting. That's okay. That feels like two guys that don't like each other that are going to fight soon. All right, that's pretty pro wrestling. Like, I can get into that. Um, but yeah, it was wrapped up in the whole. Yeah, we're making references to AEW. We're making references to Vince McMahon. I guess. I mean, the fact that we're referencing that Vince is out of the company, does that mean Paul finally had time to read the lawsuit? You think?
Rhetorical question.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, overall, like I said, I think a little bit better than the two previous weeks when he was cutting 2018 Dean Ambrose, the fans are stinky promos. But still not a lot. We did at least Cody said the words The Rock this week. So we have finally acknowledged that giant part of the story, which John Cena has not himself mentioned over the past several weeks. So hey, Dwayne's still lurking out there somewhere, I guess, but I don't know. Still feels like a big giant part of the story they haven't really addressed. And like I said, so I guess yeah, a little better than the last couple of weeks. It's still not really striking the chord of what you would hope would you would be feeling 3 weeks into a heel turn from the biggest star of the last 20 years.
Bianca Belair still challenging Io Sky for the Women's World title at WrestleMania. As of today, I suspect Rhea Ripley's going to end up in this match. I don't know, just something. I think I have a scoop. I think Rhea Ripley's going to be in this match. CM Punk is a WrestleMania main eventer.
Asterisk.
Night one of WrestleMania will be capped by Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk in a three-way. And it's not the favor that Punk is owed. Will this favor pay off, do you think they know what the favor is. How do you feel about Charles Montgomery Punk becoming a WrestleMania main eventer?
Um, I mean, look, if he's happy, good for him. Phil doesn't seem like a guy who always has got a lot of joy in his life, so if this brings him joy, that's wonderful. But yeah, I that being like after all these years, the struggle that they've made a part of his on-screen character, as well as this thing that we know about going back to the Colt Cabana podcast about how he felt cheated by not getting the main event of WrestleMania. Um, I don't know, the idea that it was just like Paul Heyman just gave it to him, and that's how he gets. It's not because he's in like he didn't win the Royal Rumble to get this shot. He didn't do anything. His friend just politicked with the boss to get him the main event. I guess I don't know. It's fine. It's not offensive to me. Yeah, I guess that does beg the question of like what is that? What are the options for what the favorite could be if it's not something like this? It's not get me a match with Roman Reigns. It's not I want a main event WrestleMania. So it's like didn't did Paul agree to get Roman to lay down for him? Like that doesn't seem like the direction they would go. So I don't know. Maybe the favor is like they team up and beat the hell out of Seth at the start of the match, and then they have a singles match. I don't know, but yeah, I'd be curious if they know exactly what this favor is just yet.
Seems reminiscent of another era.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How about that? Speaking of the guy who's not here anymore.
Yeah. Is All right, so here's the WrestleMania lineup. We know the night one, Randy Orton is wrestling Kevin Owens. Yeah, that's fine. And Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins is finishing the show. We know night two, Cody Rhodes and John Cena will close the show. And then these four matches have no night yet. It's Tiffany versus Charlotte for the WWE Women's Championship, Gunther versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship, Io Sky versus Bianca Belair, and AJ Styles will wrestle Logan Paul at WrestleMania.
I just hate to see that MAGA on MAGA violence between AJ and Logan, but they got to sell some tickets here, brother. Yeah, I mean it's I undercard wise, I thought I'm gonna pay a rare compliment to something involving Jey Uso. I thought the segment on Monday between with him and Jimmy and Gunther was great. Less so because of anything Jay did in it, more because of Gunther and also Jimmy selling for Gunther. But yeah, I thought that was great and felt like that was like, oh, that's a good good heat angle. It wasn't just one guy runs down and hits a move and then runs away. And like it was like, oh no, this was vicious and this was bloody. And it's like, okay, now the hero has been challenged and has a righteous reason to kick the bad guy's ass now. It's like, okay, great. This is you've done something good here with Jay and Jim and Big Gunth. So good for them.
We got the first matches for NXT Stand and Deliver announced. That show is at 1 p.m. Eastern on WrestleMania Saturday. So we'll go straight from that show into a 2-hour WWE pre-show into WrestleMania. Unbelievable. There will be a triple threat match for the men's NXT Championship with Obafemi against Trick Williams against Javon Evans. Seems like Javon Evans probably there to take a pin. Just my opinion. Stephanie Vaquer will defend the NXT Women's Championship against an opponent of her choosing, very likely to be the winner of Jordan Grace and Jada Parker on this week's upcoming NXT. And then there will be a multi-person match for the vacant NXT Women's North American title. Stephanie Vaquer vacated that title on NXT this week, and we had a couple of qualifying matches with Zarya and Kalani Jordan. So WrestleMania weekend is triple threat matches.
Yeah. The other, I feel like the other thing to talk about with WWE this year's WrestleMania is they're not content to just run their big arena shows, and they've decided they want a piece of everything over the weekend. And it's not, and then not just like the meet and greets either. They're running their own. They're running parts of their own indie shows. They've got talent there. They're doing their own like post shows every night from like Thursday through Sunday nights. They've co-opted Wale Mania. Like they're like, we don't want any of these folks rolling into town with disposable income and spending it on anything other than the World Wrestling Federation. So just hey, there's something WWE branded you can do every night while you're in town if you so choose this WrestleMania weekend.
There's the old phrase that comes to mind when it comes to their approach to WrestleMania weekend this year, and it's pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. You know, I think it's piggish to go on every show and brag about how much money you charge people. Like, I understand why you go and say you set a record gate. Um, I'd probably save it for the press conference rather than announcing it in the arena and expecting people to cheer for being charged more money than anyone's ever been charged before for a set event. But hey, what do I know? WrestleMania with the right wing comics and the WrestleMania after party where it's $200 to get in, and it's like for the general admission ticket is $200, and then like it's up anyway. I don't know who's going to these shows anymore. I really don't. 50,000 people are going to both nights of WrestleMania though, so I guess I don't know. Just feels very hoggish to me to run after parties every night too. I don't know.
Yeah, because then it just feels like they're like, hey, we don't. I mean, they're like, I guess they're working with GCW currently. We know how historically it goes when you're an indie that works with WWE. But hey, they're sending a lot of their talent who aren't going to be booked on WrestleMania to work various GCW shows. They're running the WWE IED tournament through GCW show. So hey, they're still friendly to the indies, but yeah, also anything after 10 p.m. They expect you, they want you at a WWE branded event as much as possible.
There's also their big ID tournament. It's kicking off. It's not even they're not even like doing the whole tournament over the week. It's like we're gonna have first round matches on indie shows. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, great. Like I think Gabe Sapolsky is just running that by himself, and I don't think Sean or Hunter has any idea what's going on with that. Because it seems very slapped together and haphazard and the social media messaging is inconsistent if there is any at all and just feels like a bad idea, but what do I know about anything? Okay. AEW has pay-per-view this weekend. Dynasty, it's in Philadelphia from that building on the Temple University campus where we saw Sting and Hogan wrestle 15 years ago.
That's right.
This match This show will be headlined by Swerve Strickland challenging John Moxley for the AEW World Championship. How did you feel about the mixed tornado tag match with Swerve and Willow against John and his girlfriend on Dynamite this week?
Not to be confused with John's wife. This is John's girlfriend. um, yeah,
Also a character on the show, John's wife.
Yes, John's wife separate, separate entities. Anyway, yeah, I thought it was a fun, if a bit sloppy at times, wild ride. They built up to I guess the heat here towards the end is Swerve hit Marina by accident while she dove in the way of to save Moggs from the big kick, but then John DDT'd Willow on purpose. So John is a dastardly heel, even though both of them hit a woman within like a 2 minute period of each other. So I guess they did structure it the way you should if you're going to do that. But yeah, I guess I was surprised that it didn't get more like capital D discourse out of John dropping Willow with the DDT. But I mean, look, he's a dastardly guy. He's not his actions are not meant to be celebrated. So I guess it's fine. But I was still a little surprised to see that, and then to see that nobody tried to make an issue of it on the internet the following day. So I mean, look, it and they ran them all back out at the end of the show. I mean, with the exception of Willow, with Swerve getting beaten down and thrown into glass by all of the Death Rider Mox and all his Mox guys beat up Swerve and threw him in glass and stuff. So I mean, look, they did their best to give it a shove and to make Moxley as the most dastardly villain he could be, I guess, heading in to see Swerve the hero conquer him.
God, I hope Swerve wins.
Brother, I would take Griff Garrison as the world champion about now.
Who is Griff Garrison?
Uh,
There's an AEW Women's World Championship match on this show as well. It's Timeless Tony Storm defends against Megan Bayne. Here's what we know about Megan Bayne. She's big,
mm,
and she's friends with Penelope Ford, and they both used to bang Joey Janela. That's what we know.
yeah. Uh, I think we talked about this on the last show. Hard to picture a finish for this because it doesn't feel like either woman should lose, which I guess makes the match more interesting in that way, depending on what they do. But
Sure.
I mean, they're already kind of, even though that won't happen until the next pay-per-view cycle for Double or Nothing, the Owen tournament stuff is already being laid out and the finals of that. And like I think I said on the previous show, I just feel like you have to do Mercedes with all the belts going for Tony's belt because Tony's like the other top woman in the company. Um, and it feels like you have to do that for all the belts at some point. But I guess Tony could lose here and then win it back before, could win it back at Double or Nothing, and Mercedes could win the number one contender spot there. So, I mean, you could do that, and maybe that cushions. You give Megan a big shocking title win, and then I don't know if it's better for Megan to just lose here by slipping on a banana peel, getting rolled up, or by like beating Tony and then Tony coming back a month later and beating her for it again. I don't know which one of those is better, but I get the feeling that either way, by the end of the next month or two, it has to lead to Tony and Mercedes for all the belts.
We shall see. It could be any number of 1,000 things. I get the impression that Megan is winning this. I don't know that, but I get that impression. Kenny Omega defending against Ricochet and Mike Bailey. I'm trying to drop the speedball from his name as much as possible. Kenny Omega versus Ricochet versus Mike Bailey for the International Championship in a three-way. I suppose if you like wrestling matches, this is a good one.
Hey, I mean, look, this is a PWG 2015 dream match. I'm sure it'll be really fast paced and fun. Feels like we're just Kenny came back in December and they immediately teased him going after Okada. And I guess now we've just decided that's not going to happen till All In. So it's like, hey, well, we need some stuff for Kenny to do in the meantime. So yeah, just let him go out there and have a fun match with some randos who aren't doing anything on TV at the moment. It's fine. It's not lighting my world on fire creatively, but it's fine.
How do you feel about heel Ricochet? How's this working out for him?
I did. I think it is both probably. We've talked about this. This is kind of my opinion of Ricochet. The person was that he was a giant dork, and so they've kind of made that it's kind of a Dominic Mysterio thing where they've tried to turn that into a strength by having him play a giant dork with not a lot of charisma on TV. And I think it is working to a degree. I think it's one of the better as far as like what about Ricochet's personality has ever like clicked on television. This is probably the closest he's gotten. I did not like when they had him like beating Swerve because I think there should be a clear pecking order and Ricochet should be a few notches below Swerve. But yeah, now that he's like in the mid card doing this character, that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Death Riders are going to be wrestling Rated FTR for the Trios Championships, and boy, the lads in Rated FTR are not getting along very well. And Cope used a low blow on Claudio. Think he might be about to go heel here? Or is Dax and Cash splitting up? Tell you what, man, any iteration of those three turning on each other leads to wrestling matches that I don't want to see. And Dax and Cash should never break up. I'm sorry, they just shouldn't. So I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah, like it's got to be to me the only thing to do is which is very obvious. And I feel like they've done, I mean, this happens in pro wrestling like once every 2 weeks, but you do the thing where you act like Cash is conflicted, but then they both turn on the Rated R Superstar Cope at the Pape. And then Rated R Superstar Cope has to go find himself a partner to fight an evil FDR. I mean, FDR haven't been heels for a few years here, so I mean, they've always been heels to me, but more so Mr. Dickhead, more so Dax than Cash. Um, but yeah, like it's so they could be heels on TV. I guess that would be fine, and they want to have a little collision feud with Adam and well, it can't be his little buddy Jay White because Jay's out getting hand surgery or something. So
His son, yeah.
yeah, his can't be his estranged son Jay White. So I don't know if doesn't feel like we're turning Christian babyface yet. Though again, I feel like we've talked about it that the only thing AEW could do that hasn't already been done as far as Edge nostalgia runs is to team him back up with Christian and have them go for the tag titles. But I don't know. Or I guess maybe I mean I don't know how they would do it in this match because they're wrestling other heels, but like you could turn them all heel and they could be a heel group, I guess. But I don't really want to see a heel Cope any more than I want to see a babyface Cope. So I don't want to see Cope at all. So um yeah, you've really come up with a scenario where there are no solutions to this, no finishes to this match that I have enjoyed. Not, and when I say you, I mean Tony Khan has, not Tony Khan and the Rated R Superstar Cope and Dax Harwood have, not you personally. But we've really constructed a scenario with no wins here.
Didn't want to gloss over you bringing back one of the great nicknames of all time for Dax Harwood, Mr. Dickhead. It's the internet coined him Mr. Dickhead and Uncle Drunky around the same time. And really, I'm not sure that the internet wrestling community has ever done better work. I mean, is there anyone who better represents the name Mr. Dickhead than Dax Harwood?
No one that I've met, I can tell you that.
Well, there you go. Also, at Dynasty, Tony Khan addressed this on his media call this week to promote why does he talk to the media before and after these shows and say nothing the entire time? Uh, I'm angry at him, but uh, um, they kind of teased Chris Jericho versus Bandito, an ROH title versus Bandito's mask match on this show, and it's not included in the rundown. And they asked Tony about it on the media call, and he said, "Well, Bandito never officially accepted Jericho's challenge, so we have to wait and see." I don't know. It seems like Bandito might be injured again. This poor guy. I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
Body just quit on him. He's incredible. Like it's like an extreme version. I mean, we always said that about Ray Phoenix. It's like the 6 weeks a year when he's healthy are incredible, but now it's like
Yeah,
3 weeks a year that Bandito's healthy. It feels like if it's a health
yeah,
thing. I mean, I guess it could be a visa thing or some other kind of illness or something, but uh, yeah. Yeah. Jericho flat out said like, let's do title versus mask at Dynasty last week on television, and then it just wasn't really addressed this week. So
yeah. I was gonna say something. I forget what it is now. Oh, Ray Phoenix. Ray Phoenix is debuting on SmackDown this week,
oh, yeah, probably gonna feud him with
and
Andrade.
they
It
just
looks
brought
like.
great match for both.
I was gonna say between
The
that,
going, the going
between
nowhere brothers.
oh yeah, between that and the main event of NXT this week featuring Ricky Starks, Ethan Page, and Sean Spears. I mean, look, you can kill the man, but not the idea, and that man and idea is called AEW Rampage Friday nights on TNT.
This is Rampage, baby.
Even though Claudio ate that
Yeah,
ring
I forget.
apron, and that's why we can't do the show anymore.
He ate it.
That was my understanding. That was how they wrote Rampage off. Was the Death Riders like took control of the show and Claudio was ripping the ring apron off. So I just said, well, I guess they can't get another ring apron. Claudio must have eaten it.
I see. Thank you for explaining. The joke's much funnier now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That I mean, I did ask. just, I just. Ugh.
Well, that's not why
Was
you
that
called.
the Death Riders attempt? Was that the Death Riders attempt to turn themselves babyface,
Killing off Rampage.
ending Rampage? Yeah,
Yeah, maybe so. They're futile attempts during some of the worst television they've ever produced in December of 2024.
yeah. Back to Dynasty. Daniel Garcia will be defending the TNT Championship against Adam Cole. They did a time limit draw for earlier, rather last month on one of the March Madness shows, and so this match will have no time limit and there will be no outside interference. So Daniel Garcia, boy, he's been TNT champion for a long time, and boy, I can't tell you one guy he's feuded with.
Yeah, I mean they did this weird little like 6-man feud. They decided to restart the trios division, um, which
Right,
unfortunately
right,
involved like at the expense of the TNT title division and the regular tag titles division for a while. So this is kind of
yeah.
spilled out of trios feuds. But I will say, I think Adam Cole's kind of back in the saddle as far as promos go. I feel like he's a lot more himself than he was when he first got back. I have not seen it in ring yet though. So I am rooting for Adam Cole to have a really good match on this show because this feels like a spot for him to show that he's not I hate to use this term for a guy I actually do like, but washed for lack of a better term. So this is a good opportunity for him. Danny's a good wrestler. And this is like a spot, like I said, I think he's brought it in the promo department. I think there've been some fun 6-mans across these last few weeks of Collision involving all these guys. But yeah, let's see if Adam's still got it as a singles guy.
Hurt Syndicate will be defending the tag team titles against the Learning Tree. This sounds like a really bad wrestling match.
I mean, I don't know. It's you got some you set up. I mean, if you set this up the way that all of the matches involving these types of guys should be, it's you have to build up to Big Bob Lashley hitting a big body slam on Big Bill. And if you do that, I think they'll be okay.
I mean, perfect. The problem with that is you're gonna have a couple of 50-year-old guys on one side, and you're gonna have one bad wrestler and Brian Keith, who's one of the few people in the company that does jobs, on the other side. Like,
Yeah, I mean it's Brian Keith's gonna be the one ping ponging around for everybody, and then yeah, build up to the big power spot, whatever it is.
anyway, I hope the Road Warriors' reign of terror continues here. They accidentally made the Road Warriors. The AEW Owen Hart Foundation tournament kicks off at Dynasty this weekend with two first round matches, at least so far. They may add more during Collision. I'm not sure. Collision has already been taped, but the only thing clear from Collision, spoiler alert, is that there will be a Max Caster Open Challenge at Dynasty as well. I assume that's for the 1.5 hour, 0 hour pre show. Drives me absolutely insane. And but there are two tournament matches official for this show, and they are Will Ospreay versus Kevin Knight on the men's tournament, and Mercedes Moné against Julia Hart in the women's tournament. And both of these matches are first round matches, and they're both at Dynasty. And Ospreay and Kevin Knight teamed up on Dynamite this week or Collision this week. I forget.
Dynamite.
Everything, every day runs together.
Yeah.
And Mercedes and Julia Hart are on opposite sides of a tag on Saturday's Collision. But so the brackets, men's bracket, first round matches, Ospreay versus Kevin Knight, as mentioned. And then these three matches don't have dates. Brody King versus Takeshita, Mark Briscoe versus Kyle Fletcher, a match I just saw on Collision a few weeks ago, I think. And Hangman Page against a wild card. So we have perhaps a new free agent coming in. And then the women's bracket, Jamie Hayter against Billy Starks, Thunder Rosa against Chris Statlander, the aforementioned Mercedes versus Julia Hart match, and Athena versus Harley Cameron. So we have Mercedes and Athena on the same side of the bracket, and perhaps meeting, which means they won't meet in the final, which means they will probably meet in the semifinal, which would be for the Boston Dynamite / Collision on April 16th, April 17th, pretty clearly.
The you Eric Bischoff Memorial Dynamite on, on April 16th.
Yes, the spring breakthrough event. Yes. Or the 17th. They're going live on the 17th because, I mean, it makes a lot of sense for them to. However, the chances I KMS on April 16th just drastically went up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That Thursday, the 17th, is going to be one of the worst days of my life. There's a live Collision. There's the regular TNA Impact show. Then there's a TNA pay-per-view. Then there's a Bloodsport pay-per-view. Then all of the other indie stuff that's going on. It's all happening in like a 3 hour window on that Thursday night. It's awful. Anyway, thoughts on the Owen Hart Foundation tournament brackets? How do you feel about the men's field? And how do you feel about the women's field?
Women's field I like for the most part. I think it's got most of the names that should be in there. I mean, there's a couple where you're like, okay, Harley Cameron and Billy Starks are in there because maybe you just need some people that can lose.
Yeah.
Without needing to do anything screwy. That's fine. That has a place in this, but yeah, on the men's side, maybe a little less star-studded, but also there are some injuries and guys tied up in other storylines and stuff at the moment. So feels like that's, I mean, they have teased a few times over the last few weeks. Hangman feels like Hangman and Swerve is the all-in main event, but I kind of thought it felt like that last year too, and they did not do that. So I guess we'll have to wait and see who this wild card is because they're the one that is wrestling Hangman. Could be what's the headgear guy from TNA, Josh Alexander.
Yeah, good call.
Lonnie Donegan coming in sometime soon. It certainly seems. as evidenced by the fact that he was not featured on NXT at any point in the last 6 months of this partnership they've been doing. Good litmus test for. Although I guess Alex Hammerstone left TNA and he was on NXT once or twice, but good barometer for who they think is staying and or going to WWE when their contract is up is who is and isn't featured on across the NXT crossovers in TNA. But yeah, anyway, I think the men's field not super strong, but it's a lot of good workers, and yeah, I feel like Hangman's the obvious guy to. I guess, I mean, if you do a Hangman and Osprey final, that feels like a big deal, and that would be on the Double or Nothing show in May. So, yeah, that's a match I'd like to see at some point here. So that sounds like a fun tournament final.
Alrighty. New Japan has Sakura Genesis coming up this weekend. And as I try to pull the card up, we can talk about how the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane. Hiroki Goto defends the IWGP title against David Finlay, the winner of the New Japan Cup in the main event. All right. Yota Tsuji will defend the Global Championship against Evil. Sounds like a dreadful co-main, frankly. Naito and Hiromu versus Jeff Cobb and Callum Newman for the IWGP tag titles. I wonder if Cobb is still NXT bound. I'm not sure. Takeshita versus Oiwa for the Never title. The rest of House of Torture versus the Bullet Club War Dogs for the Never Openweight 6-man tag team titles. Tanahashi versus Shota Umino. And El Phantasmo versus Great O'Khan for the TV title. Yuya Uemura versus Sonata in a single. And then a couple of Young Lions going at it on the pre-show. And then we have the Windy City Riot show coming up next weekend, which is Tanahashi's last match for the Never title against Takeshita. Tanahashi's last match in the United States. 30-minute Iron Man match for the Strong title with Gabe Kidd and Ishii. The winner of the Goto Finlay match will defend the IWGP title. I'm not entirely sure. David Finlay is wrestling Zack Sabre on the show. I guess that's the title match if Finlay wins the title, and Goto will defend against somebody else. I think Goto is keeping the title, so regardless, doesn't matter. El Phantasmo and Rocky Romero versus Naito and Titan. Royce Isaacs and Drell Nelson against Kevin Knight and Kushida for the strong tag titles, and Mina Shirakawa versus Azumi, with the winner going on to challenge Mercedes for the strong women's title at their May pay-per-view. So those are the next two big New Japan shows coming up. And yeah, is there anything that's lighting your world on fire right now, or that jumps out at you from those two shows that you want to see, besides obviously Tanahashi's last match in the U.S.?
Yeah, that was one. I mean, I that was one that actually got me. I considered traveling for that. I ultimately chose not to. Other expenses have come up recently, but yeah, it got me thinking about it. I had previously gotten to see him wrestle in the US in Philadelphia a couple of years ago against Chris Dickinson of all people. Remember that guy? And yeah,
Unfortunately, yeah.
allegedly bad bloke. So yeah, that's so I guess since I had seen Tanahashi live, I'm like, I guess I could skip this one. But yeah, that's significant. I it didn't dawn on me that it's like, oh, he'll probably be on Forbidden Door still. It's just that shows in the UK this year. I forgot about that. So yeah, it's as far as stuff that jumps out, one, do you think Shota Umino is the Tyler Bate of New Japan, or is Tyler Bate the Shota Umino of WWE?
This is a pet analogy of yours, and I also fall in love with my pet analogies. I have to share though that this one doesn't strike a chord with me, and so I'll leave that call up to you as to who is who in this scenario because um, I don't know. It's not like to me. It's not like Tyler Bates ever been wrestling for the World Wrestling Federation Championship,
I just mostly
or
think of it as a guy who has been around for a long time and we were told was going to be somebody, and is kind of still just hanging around and has not shown a lot of improvement.
I mean, really carrying cross probably it's a little more ass, but I get what you're saying because they're both because Umino and Bate are allegedly still both young.
Which is that
Um,
thing too. They keep
yeah,
talking
I
about them
don't
like
know.
they're fresh young whippersnappers, and Tyler Bates like 32 now. Um,
Yeah,
but anyway,
yeah, I don't really know. Yeah,
and then the other note I had there that you mentioned, Mina Shirakawa is America bound. She's finishing up with Stardom, and I'm sure we'll still work dates for them in New Japan, but she's coming to AEW. So good luck. I hope she has a better track record of getting on television than some of the other female Japanese stars of the last that have been on MIA on AEW for the last 6 months or so, last year or so. Hope she has better luck than them.
yeah. I I hope she's getting paid well. I don't know, man. The stuff that I mean, she gets over. Um, the stuff where she was here and over though is already like almost a year ago,
True.
and also like any any Japanese woman in AEW you know is gonna have visa trouble, and you know is gonna disappear for months at a time. Like it's very hard for me to get excited about anyone signing with AEW because they will come in, they will be featured for 3 weeks, and then it's a crapshoot when you'll see them next.
Yeah, I mean, on the plus
Uh,
side,
I
there are spots are opening up as Tony has suddenly decided to let all of these WWE guys go back to WWE. So, but there haven't really been any female releases to your point. So I feel like in the women's division, it's especially hard to break through.
that's quite accurate. Um, let's see. What was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna. Do you think we could come up with a list uh, of people in AEW who will do a job without complaining?
Okay, you just want to go back and forth here. Volley for
Yeah.
serve.
Uh, yeah, men's division.
Okay, AR Fox,
Uh, Brody King,
Brian Cage,
Mark Briscoe.
um,
Is that
Blake
it?
Blake Christian is the newest member of this club. He's been on like every show for the last month, losing.
Yeah, but is he signed? I don't even know if he's signed.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago, long and by a long time ago, I mean Cody was still there when things were still a little bit more Wild West in that company.
Yeah,
Listening to Cody on like when that podcast that Shivani and your favorite referee do,
yeah,
and him explaining the different types of like tiered AEW contracts, where he's like, technically these people are under contract, but it's not a full time contract. It's for like X amount of dates, and then when those dates run out, we re up or we don't. And I feel
right.
like that's maybe the type of deal that Blake Christian's on, where it's like maybe like I don't think he could go sign with WWE tomorrow if he wanted to,
Okay,
but maybe he's not like a full like he's not under a 3 year deal or anything like the
right,
whatever or whatever the standard US TV wrestler contracts are these days either.
right. So we got about four deep there, right? Women's division.
Uh,
Penelope Ford, obviously.
Harley Cameron,
Yep. Uh, the Professor, Serena Deeb.
um, ooh. Again, newcomer to this, and not clear what the contract status is of any of these ROH people. But Billy
Okay.
Starks is jobbing on TV left and right these days.
Yeah, they kind of kept her ROH for a long time, and now she just does jobs all the time. Um, see, Lady Frost here would be the Blake Christian,
Mm-hmm.
where clearly there's some kind of contractual agreement, but she never has actually won a match, so probably not under contract. So I
Yeah.
can't go Lady Frost. Let's see, the Professor, Serena Deeb. Um, I had, I think that might be it. I
What
thought I
about
had another
what
one.
about Mrs. Jonathan Television?
Yeah, she's just not really on TV anymore, though.
Yeah, she was just in CMLL with Lady Frost, ironically.
Right. Yeah, Deanna and Taya were going to they got together. They were together for about a month and then they were going to split and it's like, well, you might as well because neither of you are going anywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
then Deanna started leaking stuff to the media about how there's just no plans for them right now. The other Queen Aminata will do a job.
Yes.
So we got maybe five deep in the women's division, five,
Yeah.
six deep in the women's division. So maybe there's a couple of more ladies that'll do jobs without
Yeah.
complaining, and there are men that will do jobs without
Say when
complaining.
when healthy, Sky Blue definitely willing to do
Yep.
a job. So yeah, I think the women's division is a bit more open to the idea than the men's. But
Which is something when you think about it, because the reputation was that locker room was just catty and no one could navigate it.
mm-hmm.
And BJ Whitmer was the whisperer who would go in and get everybody to do business before he got fired for doing a domestic violence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it seems like there's way fewer dudes who will do jobs on these shows. I don't know. It's just entertaining to me. All right. Well, anything else you want to chat about?
Well, just based on
Oh,
that,
yeah.
my thought was we had an off-air discussion. There was an interview that Charlotte did this week where
Mm,
they asked her sort of about there was a sit down like face to not face to face because they were doing the fake via satellite thing with her and Tiffy where Charlotte just kind of buried Tiffany and didn't let her talk a lot and just said I'm great and you're a flash in the pan and whatever. And people got a little bit up in arms. People asked if they're like, "Oh, were you trying to test her? Were you trying to teach her something?" And Charlotte in this interview was like, "No, not really. My job's to get myself over, and that's what I'm doing. And I think I'm great, and I deserve to be in the main events. And so it's everyone else's job to anyone I'm feuding with. It's their job to get themselves over." And I was like, "It's an interesting way to look at something. I think there's a few different schools of thought or a few different philosophies, but I was like, but then you look at it and you're like, well, if you look across the top stars of various eras, a lot of them had the attitude of this is my spot and it's not my job to help you try to come take my spot. So I don't know, maybe there's something to that mentality when it comes to your tippy top people versus when it's happening when like guys the level that Malachi Black were in AEW were refusing to do jobs. Like when your tippy top people maybe are having there's a little friction that is at least understandable to me more than when, you know, Dax Harwood won't do a job or somebody.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Rusev was spotted at WWE headquarters this week, by the way. Apropos of nothing.
And in the greatest love story that continues to unfold in real life, he and CJ Perry back together after a year apart. So
It's beautiful. When I'm looking out by window, watching spring bloom, I'll think of the love that those two share. It's
Flowers are just
wonderful.
a little bit more fragrant. The sun's just a
Yep.
little bit brighter because CJ and Miro back together.
Yep. What else can you say? All right. That's all I got. You want to talk about anything else?
No, I've derailed us enough. Let's get out of here.
All right, good. So, till next time, everybody, I'm Ethan.
I'm Liam.
We'll be back soon with more stories from the wrestling life.
Adios.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Now, here are this week's bonus features.
Is there a chance the entire American League East goes 81-81 this year?
Feels like it. Feels like everybody has maybe one starter that they're confident in, and then a whole bunch of question marks in the rest of their rotations. So seems like everybody's kind of banking on their lineup scoring 8 runs a game to make anything resembling a run this year.
The good news is, if you're trying to score 8 runs a game, I think the ball is juiced this year.
It's flying. Can't
Yeah,
all be really
for
to these newfangled bats, right?
yeah, very likely. It's April and they're flying.
Yeah. Jordan Westberg hit 2 home runs to left field. To left center field this week. In one game.
I try to keep on keeping on.